let's talk about a piece of the pie. In this activity, each student is going to receive 3 thin parchment circles, and they need at least 1 dark colored crayon and a couple of other colors, depending on what they want to use. What they're going to do, you're going to walk them through how they can partition the different circles 3 different ways. So we're going to partition the circles into halves, another one into fourths, and another one into eighths. So students will begin by folding the first circle in half, the best that they can, and make a crease. Then when they open it back up, they'll take their dark crayon to color on the crease and use a different color crayon to shade in 1 slice of their pie. So each parchment paper circle represents 1 pie. So then we can talk about, does this look like a really big slice of pie? Is this a small slice of pie? And have students kind of talk about, what that slice of pie would be like. And we want to make sure as we do this that we're using the mathematically correct terminology. So we're not necessarily saying 1 out of 2 or just 1 slice. We're talking about a half. We partitioned this pie into halves, and this is one of the halves. Okay, the next circle you'll partition into fourths by folding it in half once, and then in half again. Students will repeat the same process of using a crayon to mark the creases and color in one of those pieces with a different color crayon. So then we can have another conversation about the size of the slice of pie. How does it compare? How does the fourth of a pie compare to our half of a pie? And then we'll repeat that same process with eighths. 4th and 5th graders can even lay them on top of each other like this and look for equivalencies among their pieces. Since the pieces are so thin, they can see how it takes 2/4 to equal 1/2, or how it would take 4/8 to equal 1/2, or 2/8 to equal 1/4. That's a really powerful conversation to have. Now for 2nd grade through 5th grade, those grades will then collect all of the different paper circles and count their collections based on the fractional value it represents. So they'll start by counting all of the halves, right? So let's count all of the halves in the room, and we'll make sure we use that unit of halves every time. So 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, all the way until we get to 10 halves if there's 10 students in the classroom. So then we can talk about how many whole pies could I make with 10 halves? So then they can work together as a group to figure out how they can arrange the papers, or how they could figure out how many whole pies that would be equal to. 4th and 5th grade can even repeat that same process for the fourths and the eighths and find equivalencies between an improper fraction and the mixed numbers. Finally, to extend the activity for 4th and 5th grade, you can ask them some would you rather questions based on types of pies that they like. So you may ask a question like, would you rather have 3 halves of a chocolate pie or 4/8 of a chocolate pie? Okay, so they can kind of spend some time. They can use their personal whiteboards if they need to draw models, or they can use their paper models if appropriate to find out what that comparison would be and what that comparison statement would look like. They may need to convert the improper fraction to a mixed number in order to compare it, but be sure to check the facilitation instructions for different would you rather questions in order to get students thinking about those fractional parts and how we can compare them.